Hey folks, it's Rob and welcome back. We're continuing today reading from The Night of the Living Dead by Alan Varney from 1989's TSR. And we had just finished reading quite a stirring introduction, um, which remains still in an introduction, but now the text moves us to a description of how to play the game, which we will now read through. Uh, And the introduction will continue after that, and then gameplay will actually begin where I start making selections from the book. So, we will not be actually playing the game, and I will need a D12 to do that. Or I can use a method from the book, but I have some dice to hand. Not that I will need them today. This my little buddy here is just I like to use it for a episode counter. But we'll continue onwards. So, again, we'll be using our PDF for the main display, although I do have my book here to hand, and as you can see, we are actually down here, and we'll be moving into this page, right? And then over here, there's Introduction Continued, which we'll see if we'll get to today. But let's proceed. Switch back to the PDF. There we are. How to play the game. In this adventure, you become a warrior of the undead and fight against other undead. You are the main character in this story. Your decisions govern its course and its ending. All you need to play the game are a pencil, a 12-sided die, and a plentiful supply of luck and skill. If you don't have a die, a simple alternative will be explained later. This book is divided into sections with number letter codes, like 86A or 138C. Do not read the book straight through from section to section. After reading this introduction, turn to section 8A. Read it, then select the next section from the choices offered there. Sometimes the text accompanies a picture, usually on the page opposite the section. Study the picture while reading the text. From the illustration, you decide whether to talk or fight or any creatures you see, or examine objects that catch your eye. If something you want to examine isn't listed amongst your choices, it is of no use to you in your quest. By making choices, you guide the story to its end. Try to bring about the best possible ending to your adventure. There are many endings, and you may play until you find them all. Soon you will learn your immediate goal, but your long-range goal is obvious. Send your spirit to a peaceful rest, or return it to true life. Regardless, you must end your torment of undeath. Your character. You play a paladin, a warrior knight in the cause of good, who has somehow joined the ranks of the undead. You do not remember how this happened or anything of your past life. You actually may choose to become one of two different characters. The situations are alike, but their pasts are very different. During the story, you may learn your character's past, and sometimes the story proceeds differently depending on which paladin you choose. To choose your character, tear off the folded portion of the back cover at the perforation and gently tear apart the 3 bookmarks. I would not recommend doing that. One bookmark is a list of possessions, clues, and other records. Set it aside for now. The other 2 bookmarks show off the 2 different paladins, white and gray. Choose one and save the other to play the game again another time. Use your character's bookmarks as you play the game. When you are directed from place to place during the story, move your character's bookmark to the new picture page. You also use the bookmark to keep track of your paladin's status. See the next section. Combat. In your quest, you will encounter many enemies. You do not have to fight them all, but sometimes combat is the only way to your goal. The game uses one 12-sided die to determine battle's outcome. If you do not have one, the book uses a simple substitute system. Hitting an enemy. When you fight an enemy, you roll the die to determine when you strike the foe or are struck yourself. The number you need to hit an enemy is given on your bookmark. If you roll that number or less on the die, you hit your foe. If you roll a higher number, your blow is missed. For instance, the paladin with memory trace A on the bookmark hits on an 8 or less. If you roll 8 or less on the die, you hit. On a roll of 9 or more, you miss. Other creatures to hit numbers are listed on the combat table on page 160. If you roll the given number or less for a creature, it hits your paladin. A higher roll misses. Damage. A successful strike does damage expressed as unlife points. Your character's unlife points are listed on your bookmark. Undead enemy characters also have unlife points. Each hit subtracts a number of points from the character's current total. When a character's point total reaches 0 or less, that character is defeated and out of the game. Different characters inflict different amounts of damage. The paladin with memory trace A does 7 unlife points of damage with each successful strike, while the paladin with memory trace B hits for 8 points of damage. Other characters' damage numbers are listed in the combat table. The combat table. All the undead monsters you may meet in this adventure are listed on page 160. The combat table lists the picture page on which you meet the creature's name, the number it needs to hit you successfully, the damage in unlife points each of its strikes inflicts, and the creature's total unlife points. Fighting. When you fight a monster, refer to page 160 for its combat numbers. Then run the combat in combat turns. In a combat turn, you first try to strike your enemy, roll the die, and if you hit, subtract unlife points from your enemy according to the damage you inflict. Then, if the enemy survives, it gets to strike at you. Roll the die for the creature. If it hits, you subtract points from your total. If you reduce the enemy's unlife points to 0, you win and may continue your quest. If your unlife points reach 0 and your enemy wins, you have been defeated and your adventure is over. If neither side wins, continue combat turns until one of you is defeated. Sometimes you get a chance to escape when losing. This choice is always optional. Any deviations from normal combat will be noted in the text. Alternative die rules. A die face is printed at the bottom left of each left-hand page of this book. When you need to roll a die, flip the pages of the book randomly. Your roll is the die number shown at the bottom of the page you stop on. Now, as an aside here from that, while that is true, that does appear in the books, that is a pretty gameable system, right? You just flip and then stop. But, your mileage may vary, as they say on the internet. The memory traces. Your paladin begins the adventure with no memory of his past, but as he wanders, his surroundings triggers flashes of recollection. These remembrances, his memory trace, may provide clues or explanations for his situation. On each paladin's bookmark, you will see the heading Memory Trace A or Memory Trace B. These designate the two different backgrounds of the paladins. Each memory trace is divided into numbered sections. During the adventure, the text sometimes tells you to read the next section of your memory trace. The first time you're told this, turn to the first section number listed under the memory trace on your bookmark. That section of text will give you a fragment of memory, then we'll say return to the story. After reading that section, check off the entry on your bookmark, go back to the text where you left off, and continue your adventure. The next time you are told to read a memory trace, turn to the next section listed on the bookmark. Continue in this way throughout the story. Never skip a section, and never read more than one unless you're told otherwise. In this way, your character's memory returns gradually throughout this adventure. Time and travel. You have 24 hours to find as many pieces as possible of an artifact called the Staff of Waterdeep. The more pieces you find in that time, the better your chance of defeating the liches who oppose you and putting your soul at peace. But any other information you gain may also help. You begin your adventure at midnight, and it ends by the following midnight. You spend time by moving from one ward of the city to the other, and by exploring at many locations. Remove the third bookmark and mark down the time as you explore. A device will tell you how much time you spend at each location. For convenience, time will be measured in half and whole hours. In general, visiting and exploring a location in one ward, starting from a location in the same ward, takes 1/2 hour. Visiting and exploring a location in one ward, starting from a location in a different ward, takes 1 hour. For this game, the City of the Dead, Waterdeep Harbor, and the surrounding countryside are considered wards of Waterdeep. Travel time can vary, however. In the large areas of the North Ward and Sea Ward, you have to cover a lot of ground, so you may use more than 1 hour. In the twisting streets of the Southern Ward or near the docks, you may need time to find your way through their labyrinths of buildings. Likewise, crossing from one ward to another over intermediary wards may take longer than an hour, but going to an adjacent one may take less time. Remember to keep track of the time on your third bookmark. Evidence. On your bookmark are 4 evidence boxes lettered A through D. When you discover something interesting, the text may instruct you to mark one of these boxes. Mark it gently in pencil so you can erase it between games and start fresh for the next time. Sometimes the ending of the adventure may depend on the evidence boxes you mark during your story. Your possessions. Under the unlife points on each bookmark are spaces for your possessions. Use the spaces to record objects you find on your quest. In general, you may take any item you find, but its owner may have other ideas. The number of spaces represents your carrying capacity. You may wear up to 2 magical rings and carry up to 8 other objects. The other objects may be anything except rings. All of these are in addition to the things that you get at the start of the adventure. Write your possessions on your bookmark lightly in pencil. If you acquire more items than you have spaces for, you must leave something behind. When you do so, erase it from your list. Again, I would highly recommend keeping a separate copy instead of trying to keep up on the book itself. Why would I want to do that? I would not want to. But let us flip back a moment here to my handy book. And as you can see, here we have our paladins, white and the gray. And as you can see on here, evidence boxes, Staff of Waterdeep pieces, the time chart, ring 1, ring 2, right? The various things that you will get from there. As you can see, each has 40 unlife points. He strikes on an 8 or less. He strikes on a 7 or less. He does 7 points of damage. He does 8 points of damage, and that's how that's balanced. I believe we'll just play Memory Trace A, but you know what? Yeah, we're just going to play memory trace A. I was thinking I would poll you folks, but I will not want to sit on making recordings. I want to get this through so I can try to have this done in time for the Halloween season. So, uh, thank you very much for watching and listening. I hope you have an excellent day. Goodbye.